Hi, I'm Craig Lounsbrough. Welcome to Life Talk. We can ask what prayer is. That's a great question. But it might be better if we ask what prayer is not. If our prayers aren't working right, or if we're not feeling any kind of energy, or if there's nothing that we're connecting with, or our prayer life has become some flat, boring, and dull routine, it might be that we're engaging in something that prayer is not. Are we praying, or are we doing something else that we thought was prayer? So let's talk about what prayer is not. Because if we're engaging in something that prayer is not, we're not going to find the enrichment and the joy that's part of a robust prayer life. So you might want to jot some of these points down today. First, prayer is not the cosmic vending machine. This orientation views God as a resource that dispenses whatever we ask for. Faith is the currency that dispenses the product that we're asking for. If the product is not dispensed, we assume that the machine is broken, or God is not listening, or we didn't get the right code words in the right order, or we inadvertently pressed the wrong button, or some other ignorant belief. In this model, we have taken prayer as this mechanical action shaped by a one-way relationship of showing up when we need something with no intent of showing up to give them something. Prayer is not the cosmic vending machine. Second, prayer is not the laundry list. Our needs, agendas, desires, wishes, hopes, dreams, etc. are put into a list form. Our list can be clean and tidy, or it can be entirely scattered and chaotic. Either way, the fundamental format of prayer becomes embedded in a repeating and incessant recitation of this list as some sort of sterile mantra. We show up to place an order, and once the order is placed, we have this misguided expectation that we've confused with faith that delivery is well on its way. We then take our pencil in hand and wait in excited anticipation for God to deliver on our requests so that we can begin checking these items off in order to prepare for the next list. Prayer is not the laundry list. Thirdly, prayer is not a spiritual panic attack. This type of prayer is related to a current crisis. We've come to prayer in response to an emergency or some life event that's catastrophic at some level. We are in crisis. Our lives are in jeopardy. There's been a painful turn of events that has collapsed our world in some form and sent us reeling. The gravity of the crisis is beyond our personal resources, and we're forced to seek out a resource more expansive than our own. Once the crisis has passed, we have this renewed sense that we've got this. God's then relegated to a role akin to a first responder that we dial up when the next crisis hits. Prayer is not a spiritual panic attack. Fourth, prayer is not manipulation. We come to prayer with the intent of having our desires fulfilled, rather than exploring through prayer what our desires should be. We've already determined what's in our best interest, and now we're trying to figure out how to get whatever it is we've determined that to be. So we have to be shrewd about all of this. We need to be convincing. We have to create a credible rationale to move God in our direction. We've got to sell God on these ideas of ours. These prayers are agenda-driven. They're done with the intent to achieve our particular goals rather than joining God in His goals. And we thereby humanize God by assuming that He's that gullible. Prayer is not manipulation. Fifth, prayer is not bargaining. This type of prayer is where the individual attempts to strike a bargain with God. We make promises of some kind of improved behavior, or the abandonment of old behaviors, or assurances of a greater devotion to prayer, or a fuller commitment to family, or the giving up of an addiction, or the pledging of money, or some other resource. The intent is to wrangle and deliver a sales pitch where God derives something out of the deal that makes it sufficiently compelling for him to comply. Prayer is not bargaining. Sixth, prayer is not biblical coercion. Now, this type of prayer takes the authority and principles outlined in the scriptures, and it editorializes them sufficiently to suit the agenda of the individual. This is an effort to press God into service on our behalf based on the promises he's given us in Scripture as we have chosen to interpret them. In essence, we're attempting to back God into a corner by using the edited version of his own words against him in order to lend sufficient credence to our agenda. Prayer is not biblical coercion. Seventh, prayer is not unprayed prayers. There are prayers that we have not prayed. There are those things that we have withheld from God because we don't believe that he will answer, or we have some sense that the answer is not likely to be favorable. We feel the weight of shame, so we would rather keep everything hidden deep under the pain of our guilt. We sense that we have repeatedly failed God in some inexcusable way, and therefore we feel unworthy to bring anything before him. Unprayed prayers are those things that we have unnecessarily withheld for any number of reasons. Such a choice can diminish the whole of our prayer life and rob us of what God is standing ready to do in our lives. Prayer is not unprayed prayers. Eighth, and finally, prayer is not testing God. Many times our prayer are our means of testing God. It's an experiment to either prove or disprove his existence. Is he real? If he is, does he love me enough to follow through? Does he care enough to give me what I think I need? Will he take the time to listen to little old me? Am I important enough for God to turn aside from all of his obligations and sit with me? Is this real to the point that I can dare to stake my life on it? This is a manifestation of our attempt to build our faith in a manner where our faith becomes dependent upon the very thing that we were errantly using to build it. Prayer is not testing God. Now, there are many things that prayer is not. These are simply a handful that I've seen in my life and in the lives of so many others. Oddly, we are often not fully aware of these. They've become so ingrained as part of our personal theology and so habitually integrated by virtue of our actions that we often do them unawares. And so I would encourage you to be aware of these should they emerge in your prayer life. And if they do, get rid of them and see if your prayer life actually becomes transformed. You will find all of the material in today's podcast outlined in my book, Taking It to Our Knees, Rigorous Prayers for Life's Greatest Challenges. This book is a fresh, user-friendly, entirely relevant, and thoughtfully targeted 30-day devotional that will bring the power of prayer to life in your life. You will find Taking It to Our Knees on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or wherever books are sold. I want to thank you for joining us on Life Talk today. You will find Life Talk on most podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. I would also encourage you to check out our daily posts on all of our social media sites. Thanks for being here today. Look forward to seeing you next time. It is the person of prayer who shakes the world. And it is when our knees hit the ground in prayer that the shaking begins.